We've got some huge NBA news to get into, and
What?
that
What?
is
Something happened? Wait a minute. Are you sure?
we finally have a conclusion to Dame time with the Blazers. Just a quick overview. It was a 3-team trade. Dame is now on the Bucks. Obviously, the Portland Trail Blazers were involved, and the Suns were involved. Um, we're gonna make a point to kind of like break it down piece by piece as we go through for each team on what we think it means for the team, if we think they're done and this is the team that we're going into the year with, or and all that, which kind of foreshadows a little bit of rumors that are going around right now, specifically with Portland. But let's talk about the Trailblazers and what it means for Dame to officially be gone, because there's a lot of different angles, right? Like, we could talk from the angle of appreciation of what it was, because I think we should do that. But I feel like there's this nasty overhanging cloud of like, did they kind of do him dirty on the way out? And that's up for debate. And then there was talk about Dame telling the team, hey, if it's not Miami, I'm willing to stay here. And the team being like, nah, damage is done. You're out. So where do you fall on the whole feeling of this right now?
All right. So first off, because there's a lot of questions there, and I want to
Yeah.
answer them all because
Yeah.
I'm with you. Like there's a lot to talk about, and for the structuring purpose of this episode, because we figured probably shouldn't start with Immaculate Grid this week. We will play
Right.
Grid at the end of the episode.
Yes. Yes.
We're gonna start here with the initial reaction and with the Bucks. We'll talk about like what the Blazers do going forward and what the Suns do going forward. I do want to talk about the X's and O's real quick for anyone who hasn't seen the exact specifics. Portland is getting Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Tumani Kamara, Milwaukee's 2029 unprotected first round pick, and they also have swap rights with Milwaukee in 2028 and 2030 unprotected. Of course, Milwaukee gets Dame. The Suns get Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson
Which,
as a
by
part
the
of the trade
way,
package.
I was going to use him as my NBA player tweet. Just tweeted out a little bit ago, best ramen places in Phoenix with the eye emoji.
I mean, hey, and listen, I think a lot of people who may be Phoenix bound, that's not exactly the worst team to go and play with right now, given the one Bradley Beal has come in over the summer to play with one Kevin Durant and one Devin Booker. But
right.
No, I mean, my
and
initial
now
reaction.
Grayson Allen. And now Grayson Allen.
And your boy Grayson Allen. No, but so I mean, my initial reaction is I think there's relief for everybody that this is over. And I do think there is a little bit of shame that this is awkward because and it'll heal in time, because Damian Lillard is arguably, if not probably is, the best player in Portland Trailblazers franchise history, right? Like, you've got him. I mean, the only players in the stratosphere to me are Bill Walton. LaMarcus Aldridge was great there for a few years, but not even close to the amount of time Dame had. Clyde Drexler, too, of course, is the other one. I mean, Clyde Drexler had them in the finals. He's probably number 2 to me now. I mean, Dame Lillard broke the points record this year. Like, yeah, there's a lot of people. I mean, when you look at what Portland basketball has been for the last decade, it's been based around him. I mean, a lot of the great moments that they've had, you think about the buzzer beater rookie year against Houston, you think about the shot against Oklahoma City. Given the rivalry that they had, like, there's a lot of conference finals appearance. Like, there are plenty of great memories between these two that everyone will go back to eventually. And I do think, not to keep using the time metaphor, but I do think it will get healed a bit on that front.
And you might have already referenced it, but I have, like, when I think of Dame time, or when I think of Dame with Portland, the vision I have is Dame shooting it from the logo. I feel like it was against the Clippers. I could have that wrong, but shooting it from the logo, just draining it and turning and pointing to the wrist. Like, it's ice cold. And so much amazing basketball came out of him with them, obviously. Did you see what Kevin Garnett tweeted? He tweeted the other day, actually, I think it was right after the trade came through, that he was like, Portland did right by Dame, and the basketball gods are going to repay them tenfold for doing that, which I think is interesting now because of some of the stuff that has come out since. I
I think they did right by Dame. I'm going to
Yeah,
just put that out there right away and
but
get a little bit into it. I absolutely think they did right by Damian Lillard. Yeah, you're not going to Miami, where is the one place you said you wanted to play, but you got a fair deal.
you're
Look,
playing with Giannis. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, if the only people that should be mad about this trade, really, um,
Miami. That's it.
well, Miami and the Celtics, because the Celtics, I feel like were pretty much like a favorite to go this
Oh,
year.
I don't think the Celtics are anywhere close to Damian Lillard. Miami's the
No, no,
only
no, no, no,
one
no,
who you
no.
can.
No, no, no. I mean, go to the finals. I mean, go to the finals,
Oh, but
and
because Milwaukee
now,
got better.
right,
Okay,
right,
that
right,
makes a little more
and now
sense.
Milwaukee's probably. I bet betting odds have them like even. Honestly,
Oh, I think they should have them above it. I mean, to me, Milwaukee. We'll get into Milwaukee a little bit, but that is why they right. They sent him to play with Giannis. Like Damian Lillard saying he wants to go try to win a championship at the end of his career. Milwaukee's a great place to do it right now. Like to me, they are the favorites in the Eastern Conference. I'll get into that a little bit in a
they are.
second, but I do think that I look back and yeah, I think maybe they were a little hard on Miami. But here's the thing: Damian Lillard shouldn't have gone public then, and his agent shouldn't have gone public with saying we'll only
Right,
go to Miami because you just shot the leverage right in the foot. Like
right.
that could have been facilitated a little better. And then, yeah, I think when Miami knows that they don't have, or that Portland doesn't have any leverage then. And so, yeah, they tried to center a deal around 3 first-round picks and Tyler Hero. I don't think it was an unserious deal anytime that you put 3 first-round picks in play. But Portland just didn't like the package. Like that was the one thing that was consistent the whole time, is that Portland just didn't like what they were getting out of it. And I think when you look now at getting Drew Holiday, and for nothing else, that what Drew Holiday will eventually net you, I think as well. And what for getting DeAndre Ayton, I mean, yeah, I can understand why Portland is a little more intrigued in this deal. But no, for Milwaukee, it's a difficult decision. I think that's even Giannis had no say in this, and they openly said that because it's tough with Drew Holiday.
But
Um,
I think he had a
oh yeah,
saying.
no, 100%. Giannis said he wasn't signing that
Right,
contract,
right.
but that's where I give Milwaukee credit. You know what they
Yeah,
did? They went out and they got to work, and they brought in
yeah.
Damian Lillard right away. And you look at this roster now, like, look, Drew Holiday, he's gonna be a legend in that city forever. Like, he was a big part of them breaking the championship drought. Like, he's a champion in Milwaukee forever. That is not a guy you easily let go. He's a great locker room guy.
Would
But look,
you a
would
random question that Middleton, Brian and I were debating. Would you have rather sent, if you had the option to send Drew or Chris Middleton, would you have sent Drew?
I think, yeah, because of the overlap. And I think you can
Okay.
play Chris Middleton a little more at 3 as well.
Yeah.
I also just think that Chris is Giannis's guy in a way as well. Like they're really tied into this forever.
Yeah.
I think it's equivalent. Like if you had to go Middleton instead and kept Drew Holiday, I don't think they would have been wrong in that sense either. I do think there's maybe an argument to be made that they'd be better defensively still had they kept him or kept Drew Holiday and let Middleton go. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, and I guess that's why I'm so high on it. Like, you look at Milwaukee, you still got Pat Connaughton on the roster who tweeted about being teammates with Dame Lillard again. You still got Brooke Lopez there. You still got Bobby Portis there. Like, I don't know. To me, I just have the vision of Giannis and Dame running a pick and roll, and that just
Mm.
feels unstoppable. Damian Lillard, we know, can shoot the basketball. The injury risk to me is the only thing that I'd worry about. He's due a lot of money, but I don't know. To me, when you've got Giannis saying, I don't know how I feel about this contract, I think last year, or really the last 2, the way it's panned out, granted, 2 years ago, I think it was more injury than anything, but it's like the last 2 years, they've kind of disappointed in the playoffs. And I do think last year's loss to Miami is that type of one where you start to reevaluate everything. Like, look, I know you won a title not that long ago, and that's a very difficult decision, but give Milwaukee credit for not resting on their laurels there and being aggressive and going out and getting a player of this caliber. And for Dame, yeah, I think, look, at the end of the day, if you want to go to Miami, go in the summertime. Like, they gave you a real prime opportunity to go win a title. If this is something that you've been talking about for is the one missing notch in your belt, really, this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, again, arguably the greatest player in Portland franchise history. All that he's missing is that ring. He's got a
Yeah.
real chance to go get it now with a bare minimum top 3 player in the league. For Giannis, this is his chance to get back now and kind of, get these longer playoff runs off that he hasn't had here in a bit. And I don't know. I love it from Milwaukee. Like I love the aggressiveness. Maybe again they're going to take a hit defensively for sure on the perimeter. I think that goes without saying with how good Drew Holiday is. But I just look at the upside of what this offense can do, what that pairing can do, and because Dame Lillard again is not a guy who, as he ages, he's well into his 30s now. I understand those concerns, but to me, his game is going to age well. It's in that Steph Curry type category, so I'm not really worried about that as much with the amount of money he's due.
No, and I like it. I do. I just wonder, we were again arguing the Middleton Holiday debate, which essentially was exactly what you said. Was like, well, Fit's a lot easier with Middleton than Drew. And I was like, yeah, but like that defense, and I think that kind of echoes some of the rumors that have been going around of teams that are potentially trying to see if Portland is set with Drew, and that's kind of what's been going on. We'll get to that a little bit as
Yeah.
we break them down a little more. But at the end of the day, obviously Dame put out a thank you to the city and threw a little bit of shade as well. But I think it was overly nice for the most part.
I don't think Joe Cronin did anything wrong here. I'm just going to say that. Like, I understand that, maybe he played hardball with Miami, but you know what? Damian Lillard, blame your agent, buddy.
Was
Your
it?
agent
Was it?
should have put out that that's the only place you want to trade to. And then when you go out and publicly demand a trade, like, yeah, it is a little weird when you're trying to get back in the building. I know you're Damian Lillard, so there is a little bit of nuance with this. And maybe that's what could have been handled a bit better. But it's like, you have made your demands clear all summer long. We're trying to facilitate and get something done. And it's like, look, they didn't send you to Siberia. Like, they didn't send you to some team that's rebuilding and has no chance of winning anything anytime soon. They sent you to a contender.
Who, by the way, is number one in the East for odds. I looked it up on FanDuel Sportsbook. They have Milwaukee at plus 360. Boston would be right behind them at plus 500. Phoenix is right there at 550. And then you got the Nuggets at 650 right behind them. That would round out your top four in terms of betting odds for finals next year. So, um, yeah, I feel like at least I guess the problem is we don't know how the conversations went between Miami and Portland. Now, what I was listening to with Dan Lebitard was his version that he was hearing from the Heat, and he was claiming that pretty much Portland stopped responding. And if that's the case, then it's like maybe there was a little bit of pettiness being like, look, if he wants to go to Miami, we're not sending him to Miami. Like, I don't care if they offer us the best package. We're going to take the second best package and not send him to Miami. I don't know if that's the case. It sure seems like people in Miami feel like that's the case right now from comments and Jimmy going, making a video
That was
and
lame. I love Jimmy Butler, but that tampering video was lame. That was the lamest thing Jimmy's done in a while.
yeah, I mean, but I wonder the I guess the conversation then goes to like the NBA steps in when a player does something, right? When Dame claims he's not going to play for any other team, NBA comes out and finds somebody. But when there's a decent amount of evidence to at least potentially have to look into it a little, the NBA doesn't care as much.
I mean, the fact that they had to send a memo, though, that his agent had to negotiate in
No,
good
no, no, no.
faith, like,
No, but what I mean is look at Miami from were you like, or look at Portland from were you actually going to look into this, or did you go out of your way to make sure he didn't end up in Miami?
no. And I mean, here's the thing: if they had blatantly taken a worse package than what was on the table, because Miami leak, it's out now at this
Yeah.
point. We know it was Tyler Hero and 3 firsts. Like, maybe you throw in another younger player there, like a Jovic or something like that.
Which
But
is maybe why people say it was a potentially better offer is like, like in theory, Drew Holiday doesn't fit the timeline, right? Which is why these conversations are now
yeah,
being rumored to be happening.
he's also going to net you 2 firsts probably, which is something
Right.
we'll get into a little bit though. But before we move on from the Bucks in particular, because you mentioned Boston, and I do think Milwaukee is the favorite. And the reason I say that is because Boston, for as much consistency as they have, they kind of don't this year. Like, this is
Yeah.
the first year they've really shaken it up in a bit. When you lose Marcus Smart, when you lose Grant Williams, like those are two big locker rooms guys. And look, I like the potential that Porzingis has. Like, Boston to me is the clear, like they're 1-1A right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to see how Boston has their pieces kind of fit together too. There's a few new faces there. Al Horford's another year older. Um, so I guess I'm there. Like, I mean, granted, a happy Jaylen Brown now is pretty great as well. You can
Yeah.
see this duo kind of play without the fear of trade rumors. But yeah, I mean, those two right now, without a doubt, are the favorites in the East. I mean, Miami, we'll see if they can do it again. But I mean, I look on paper and I go, this is the same team as last year. Granted, you will get Hero back, but I don't know.
While
Everybody's a year older.
well, while we're just talking about NBA championship betting odds, just because I have it up, we talked about it. It was Bucks, Boston, Phoenix,
How are they
Denver.
both over Denver? That is insane, and
Oh
that's what I
wait,
don't get about Vegas. Like, I understand that
yeah.
Denver's coming out of a harder conference, but it's like, what are we talking about?
Well, and honestly, a lot of this surprised me. All the ones here kind of are surprising. Like Milwaukee's one, Boston's two, which you could have your feelings about because Denver's the, like we said, the defending champs. They're four. Suns are three. Lakers are five. Golden State Warriors would be six. Now, I think number seven is honestly surprising. Like, what would you guess is number seven after that?
Somebody in the West, maybe. Like, I guess Ja's suspended. I mean, if
He,
it's in the East, I mean, is it Miami?
it's not Miami. Miami
Who is it?
is,
Cleveland?
it's Cleveland.
I don't hate it.
I don't either, but so Cleveland's at plus 1,800. Memphis is plus 2,000. Then it's the Clippers. Then it's the 76ers. Then it's the Heat.
The East is more wide open than the
Yeah.
West. I think the
Yeah.
West has a better consistency of teams. Like, I think after Milwaukee and Boston,
If
I mean, Cleveland is good. The Sixers, despite my just loathing of them at this point, should be like, they're not going to stink next year all of a sudden. The Knicks will be good again. They should be competitive. We'll see who jumps this year.
honestly, and I feel like we say this every episode, so just rinse and repeat. Sacramento should feel some kind of way. They've got them 15th on this list.
Overall,
Pretty much. I mean, like Mavericks are over them, Pelicans are over them, Knicks are over them. They're barely above the
but
Timberwolves.
so here's my thing, Justin, though. Am I betting or am I talking about who do I think is the better team? Because that's a different opinion. I think the
Right.
Kings are a better team than the Knicks next year, but I think the Knicks have a better chance of probably going to the finals because they play in a worse conference.
You're right. You're right. But Pelicans?
I get it. Without
Yeah.
Zion, it all depends
Yeah.
on Zion. With
I know.
Zion, they are, but
Yeah.
that's
And then
that
like
massive,
barely
massive if at this point.
I mean, I agree. It's just kind of jarring to see Sacramento so far down when they were what, the third best
I
team
agree.
record wise last
And
year in the
arguably
West.
got better.
Yeah.
Sacramento had a great offseason. I really liked a lot of their picks up. Most recently, JaVale McGee, like they restocked. I like what Sacramento's doing. Welcome everybody to the Driving Dish NBA podcast. My name is Kevin Rayfuse. Joining me as always, my co-host Justin Kuzart.
It's still smoke with Ayton, but I have a feeling he's gonna cook in Portland.
Oh wow, who doesn't really who's got beef with DeAndre Ayton?
What's
like
an
that?
NBA player that has beef with everybody?
Pat Bev.
Yes.
Oh my god, why is Pat Bev got beef with Ayton for?
I don't know, but apparently he's still got beef with him. So
All right,
yeah.
so circle Portland and Philly on the calendar. I guess didn't think that one would be there, but I also kind of keep forgetting that Pat Bev is on the Sixers just to show how tuned out I am with them right now.
Listen, we got dancing on my own. We got Phillies baseball playoffs about to kick
I have the
off.
Eagles. Like,
You got the Eagles.
I have so many better things to talk about. Anyway, leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. We will read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, Amazon Music, anywhere you find a podcast, you can find us.
And we have a YouTube page where obviously the video version is up there. A lot of, visual stuff while we're doing the Immaculate Grid. But it's just the same old podcast. So if you want to hit us up there, you can subscribe, be number 62, or actually number 63. Sorry, we're at 62. So be subscriber number 63, and you'll know when all the next episodes are coming out because we pre schedule it so that it will let you know.
And now a word from our sponsor.
So let's take the trade from the Bucks side of things. Which side do you want to do? Where do you want to go with this?
Well, we got the Bucks already. I feel
Yeah.
like we talked about them a little bit up front. So yeah, I mean, going back to the Blazers now, because it is like the flexibility. What am I trying to say here? I guess I'm trying to gather my thoughts on Portland real quick before I was smart. We knew this was going to come. I guess Drew Holiday, I do think is going to be traded at some point. So I do want to get into that in a little bit because there was already talk about his price. There's a number of teams coming out. And frankly, I think that could happen here sooner than later. Ayton is look, I like it overall for Portland. Again, you get Milwaukee's first rounder. DeAndre Ayton still has, again, it's how much of a believer are you in Ayton, but he's a former number one pick. Like, this is a guy who was a key piece for them in the finals. I know he's flamed out a little bit here in Phoenix, but it also feels like this was a vibes reset as well. Like, he has the opportunity to be a centerpiece of this young team.
And
like, it's now him and Scoot Henderson, like, essentially with the keys to the franchise. So,
and
I mean,
I feel like there is a lot of negative vibes on, Ayton, and it's worth mentioning that he was pretty much, I mean, missed it by 0.2 career high in points per game last year.
yeah,
His average last year was still a double-double with rebounds and points, like very, like for how much hate he was getting. I think it was more of a playoffs thing anyway, but there was a lot of hate that was going his way, and it might have clouded judgment on how good of a player he actually is.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. The concerns have always been on the defensive end, and they've just been motor. Like, it's been times where just flat out DeAndre Ayton's effort hasn't feel like it's been there. I think really ever too, just since that just horrific loss against Dallas 2 years ago. Like, I don't really know if the core ever quite recovered from that. And the other reality too is that we wondered with bringing Bradley Beal in, like, Phoenix is just super up against that second ring of the cap. Like, they would have had absurd amounts of money if you kept Ayton's contract on the books.
Yeah.
So that certainly frees a lot up now for Portland. I mean, really, it's him and Jeremy Grant are the only guys they're paying right now. So it is the type of contract you can play on. When Scoot Henderson eventually comes up, you'll be able to, if you've decided that he's not working there, you can kind of move on from it. But yeah, to me, Ayton is the type of guy you take a flyer on for, like you said, all the reasons. Like, the tools are still there for him to be successful. And again, now this is his shot to be in a franchise where he's going to be one of the main guys on a team with no expectations. Like,
and
this is where you can rehab that image a lot.
And if you're Portland and you're rebuilding a team around Ayton, how would you approach it?
I think you just, it's Ayton and Scoot. And that's the reality is I think you just try to tear everything else down and get value. And that's what I think you'll have with Drew Holiday. Like, I think he'll be traded well before training camp starts.
But
probably
are you
gets
looking
to at
for
least 2 first rounders. I think you're able to move Jeremy Grant's salary at some point. Like, I expect to see that happen here, whether that's before the season, whether that's in season at some point.
From a personnel standpoint with those guys, like, are you looking for floor spacers, shooters, defensive minded? Like, how
I'm
would
looking for everything because I am fully tearing down and rebuilding this. I'm looking for anything other than a starting point guard and a center at that point. Like, I wouldn't necessarily draft another 5 after I'm bringing DeAndre Ayton in. But yeah, no, I think realistically they need wings the most. But they've still got a couple of players too that they're high on. Like, Anthony Simons is still young. They paid him a few years ago. So we'll see what happens. Like, either way, though, it's a well overdue teardown for Portland. Dame was going to net you a lot, and I don't hate the return here. And I think, again, the increased flexibility that's going to come with trading a guy like Drew Holiday, like, you're going to have a lot of picks. Like, you're going to have the chance to get this right. I think they already did a little bit by drafting Scoot. Like I said, I'm a lot higher on him than I am on Brandon Miller. He looks super great early returns in summer league. So, it's hard to break up. You know what I mean? Like, Damian Lillard, again, said it twice already, but probably the best player in franchise history. Like, realistically, I think you and I have talked about a zillion times. This should have happened probably 2 or 3 years ago. Like, that team
Yeah.
had just hit its peak. And if he wasn't going to stay around forever, which he wasn't once he made the demand this summer, then it was time to move on for everybody. And it's a business. Like, that's the part that Damian Lillard, like, I know he's such a loyal guy. It's such a personal guy with him. But, once he and his agent made the demand, I think he could have come into training camp and it would have been a big deal. Yeah, but essentially, everyone was trying to get this done.
Well,
Like, we just
he
wanted to be
can't.
done before the
He
season started.
he could have come back into training camp and it would have been nowhere near as bad as what potentially will go down with Harden.
Yeah.
Because Dame's not that kind of guy, which is why I think that would have worked and why I think Portland probably, though they wanted to get something done, maybe didn't necessarily feel like it's get it done or something horrible is going down. You know what I mean? Like they wanted to get it done quick, but they also weren't in any rush to get it done, even though that contradicts itself in a way.
Yeah. No, 100%.
So then
Eh
the Drew stuff, I mean, there is rumor that they might move on from him, and we've already alluded to the fact that he doesn't necessarily fit the timeline.
no. And
Now, I have seen the right now, at least the one that I was just looking at again from a selfish Sixers fan was the Sixers talking to them about a potential 3-team trade in a way to still find a way to get Harden out to the Clippers.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple. And so the Sixers do come into play because I do think that's their ideal situation, right? Is that you try to facilitate a 3-team deal. You get Harden to the Clippers, you get Drew Holiday back in Philly, pair him with Maxey,
Be
and at
awesome.
least you're just a little more. I don't know that moves the needle over Milwaukee or Boston, but you at least have something positive there. Like, Drew Holiday is obviously a great player. There's a couple that I really think they're going to keep an eye. I mean, the Clippers on their own, I think, are going to go after Drew Holiday. They're rumored to. They're saying the Lakers are going to make a push. I don't know that the Lakers have as much to give without. They brought a bunch of their young guys back, like, unless they're willing to part with some of them, which I don't necessarily see them doing. The Clippers makes all the sense in the world. Like, you want another
Mhm.
point guard there. Drew Holiday perfectly fits that. Like, I mean, that's the reason they have interest in Harden, right? Is they need a guard. Um, I mean, selfishly, of course, I would love a 3-team deal. The other intriguing one that I think that I would watch and that would certainly shake the East up again is watch Boston. If the reports there that Malcolm Brogdon is really unhappy after being, in the rumors to be dealt. I mean, he was, like we said, he was dealt at one point and then the trade fell through. Apparently that's not sitting well with him. He's coming off a 6-man of the year. That could be an intriguing deal with the Clippers. Do the Clippers want to take Brogdon in and a few picks and suddenly you send Drew, or the Blazers, I should say, and suddenly you send Drew Holiday back out?
I
You know,
wonder and correct me if you think I'm wrong here. I mean, I know the Sixers have always talked about trying to move on from Tobias Harris, and I know he's in the last year of his deal, and I know it's not a good, money-wise, it's not a good number, but players in the last year of their deal leave a lot of room for, movement in a way, which is something that Portland might be considering or looking to do. Now, I know Tobias Harris isn't in any way someone that I think that they're necessarily looking to add to the team, but it gives them flexibility in terms of the contract, right?
yeah, 100%. I mean, Tobias Harris to me will probably be like a mid-season type deal guy because, like
Yeah.
you said, he's on the last year of his contract. Like, I do think he'll get moved out at some point. I don't know why Portland would do that now, honestly. Like, that to me is the same type of deal. Like, unless you want Tobias to just come in and be a locker room guy, or you do it at the beginning of the season and then kind of recognize that you try to flip him again. Maybe he
Yeah.
goes into Portland and scores a zillion points, and then you're able to flip him again because the contract's going up.
Then the Lakers will
Um,
want him.
I mean, you know, if Tobias Harris is playing a 4th or a 5th role, it's not a big deal. It's just, we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the Celtics and the Clippers are probably my early favorites to do it. I would love for the Sixers to get in there too. I think they're a solid 3rd in the race right now. But regardless, the early asking price from Portland seems to be at least 1 to 2 first rounders. So, and for Portland, that makes sense. Like, again, you're rebuilding, you're building the war chest back up. Like, this team is clearly not going to try to win games right now this year. So it's the way to do it. And I
Yeah.
think that's why you made the deal initially with Milwaukee, to get a guy who still has a ton of value. Like, that's not an easy trade for Milwaukee. We said that earlier, but it's like, breaking up a championship
So
core is not an easy decision.
so what you're saying is with Drew Holiday, they might get 2 picks, and since they got 1 first-round pick from the Bucks already, they're essentially working themselves back up to what the offer was from Miami.
Yeah, something like that. Um, there was an ultimate reunion deal where it was like the Sixers would get Cove back as well. It'd be like
That'd be
Covington,
sick.
PJ Tucker would go out to the Clippers as well.
Oh,
Um, you know, but
yeah.
PJ Tucker seems stuck with Harden, unfortunately, and that's what stinks because I love PJ. Like, I got nothing bad to say about PJ
Yeah.
Tucker. That man he's a winner. Like, he just plays good winning basketball. You should want PJ Tucker on your team, but I mean, yeah, you don't need to tell Milwaukee that he won a title out there.
So then you take it from the Sun side of things. Grayson Allen, Johnson, Nasir Little, Nurkic. I really like the Nurkic addition from the Sun side of things because I don't feel like he needs the ball, but I feel like he can really annoy Jokic, which is really the end game when you are in the playoffs for the Suns, because at some point you're going to be up against the Nuggets potentially.
Yeah, I mean, look, the biggest thing again is it was about the money.
Yes.
There's just no way around it. Like, they had so much money, so getting Aiton off the books really gives the roster a lot of flexibility to kind of fill out a little bit because that's your worry, right? Is that this Suns roster is pretty top heavy.
Mhm.
The big question to me is still the bigs. Like, Nurkic is still a good pick. Like, Nurkic was a good pickup for sure. I agree with
Yeah.
you. I do think there are limits though to it. Like, Nurkic is not the best defender in the world. Um, he's kind of been mopey in the past when he hasn't had the ball. That said, here this is a prime opportunity. I'm a little less worried about that second part.
Well, and
Um,
and and to that, I mean, last year, at least with Portland, again, so take it with a grain of salt. His defensive box plus minus was a .7, when his offensive was actually negative. So, like, if anything, if he goes into it knowing, like, hey, man, we don't need you to do anything offensive really with this team. We just need you to be big, get your rebounds, and close down the paint essentially.
Yeah, 100%. I guess I worry about it a little more. Like, they're gonna be relying a lot on Nurkic and Devin Eubanks to be their main bigs. Like,
Hmm.
that definitely feels like with Aiton gone, that needs to be upgraded at some point. But again, that's part of the flexibility of letting Aiton go, right? Is that you can maybe do that now. I like Nurkic like as one of them. I just think they ideally could improve that position a little bit.
Didn't they have, was it Eubanks that I'm thinking of that they replaced with Ayton in the playoffs last year? I'm drawing a blank on the player's name. I thought he ended up going to the Mavericks, but I could be wrong. Um, mm,
Uh,
I'll keep digging. I can't remember if it was him or not. But either way, I agree with you. I think you might need more there, but I think it's sneakier than people give it credit for, I guess is what I'm getting at.
wait, you think it was sneakier than before?
I think Nurkic is gonna be a sneaky good pickup for the Suns, yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, I could agree with that for sure. I mean, I like the Suns getting involved here. Like you said, you upgraded the roster. Like, Naz
Mhm,
Little again has played a fair amount of minutes too. Like, that's a good kind of depth pickup. Like, they had to do it. They were going into the season saying that they were going to have Aiton on that roster, but again, it just makes all the sense in the world to move on. It feels like there was a lack of trust there. Like,
mhm.
again, I said it before, but like, this just feels like a vibes reset. Like, letting Chris Paul go, letting Aiton go. Like, and again, that's difficult for them as well because that's a team that was in the finals. Like, that 2021 finals run was special, but it definitely is. We're fully in a new era now, even
I
with
think
Book
it's
there.
I think the player I was thinking of that was taking minutes from Ayton was, what was it, Jock Landale? Didn't they play him over Ayton, I think, at
Yeah,
one
no,
point during the
yeah,
playoffs?
no, definitely at one point, yeah.
He's on the Rockets now. That's who I was like, "Man, I bet if you're the Suns, you kinda wish he might still be there a little bit just to at least add to that depth."
Yeah, and I mean, they'll be an attractive buyout
Yeah.
candidate as well, or buyout destination, I should say. People will love the opportunity to go play with KD and Devin Booker. Um, One question that I'll ask you, because I've seen this float around a little bit, and it made me think of it now with KD and Booker. Are Dame and Giannis automatically the best duo in the NBA?
I mean, Durant and Booker might be LeBron and AD. I don't know.
No, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like those are the two that are with me. I
I
think,
mean, and then you gotta put. I mean, you still have to do Brown and Tatum too, right?
yeah, yep. Um, I mean, to a lesser extent, Jokic and Murray. I think they're right there as well,
Yep.
coming
Yeah.
off the title.
I don't I mean, from name power and star power, probably up there, but I still think I'd from just considering that, I'd still probably do Durant and Booker.
I don't disagree. I guess my thing is like I think Giannis is better than any of the players we just mentioned, and so that's kind of my thing, other than
Yeah.
Jokic. And so that's kind of my
Jokic.
thing is it's like
Yeah.
you have him and Dame is right there too. Like
I
Dame is
know.
probably always arguably a top 10 guy, but
But, like, so is Booker, right?
well, I think
Booker and
KD and
Durant.
Booker individually are both better than Dame, and so that's where it gets
Right.
tough for me. Is I do think
Right.
both of them individually are better than Dame. Um,
And then LeBron's older and KD's, but they're still
LeBron and
dominant.
AD 3 years ago would have definitely
Right.
been better to me, but you're like you said, you're right. LeBron's older and AD's hurt a lot, but um, yeah, I think Milwaukee, if nothing else, is just long. Their title window is open a lot longer now,
We
and that's
can't
what you
forget
need with Giannis.
you can't forget, Cat and Gobert too.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't forget that.
I mean, at some point you do have like, the guy like I understand they don't play well together, but like Embiid and Harden, like you do have good duos that I don't know. You'd have to put the list out there. I think they're definitely above Embiid and
I
Harden
think
and
we
whatever,
named the
but
top ones already. Like,
yeah.
I don't think there's anyone. I think there are plenty of other duos that we could do that are quite good. But I mean, I think if we've got a top five without thinking right now, it has to be some combo of Dame and Giannis,
Mhm.
Katie and Book,
Mhm.
Jokic and Murray, LeBron and AD, and probably Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum. Like that, those
Well,
to me are the five that who am I
and
taking off that
I
list?
mean, I mean,
No, I'm not taking Steph and anybody right now because
I
Clay and Dre
know.
are declining. I
I
would have,
know.
but those two are declining.
Ay, ay, ay.
Kawhi and
Yeah.
PG in theory, if they ever play together.
Yeah. Kawhi and PG is a good one.
Yeah, they just
They
never
just
play
never play.
together.
They just never play together. And then, yeah, I mean, I
The
guess
3
yes.
games the Clippers are healthy in the playoffs are unbelievable, and they look like they're gonna win the title. And that's the cruelest part of it all, is it's like
Yeah.
they are good enough to win the title. They just don't stay healthy ever.
Yeah. Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
All right. Well, on that note, is it immaculate grid time? Should we switch into
It's
it?
it's immaculate grid time at
I know that people have been
37:40
waiting
into
for a
the
long
at
time.
37:40 into the podcast. Let's immaculate grid. All right. So to explain it for the podcast listener, the top teams going from left to right on this grid would be the Spurs, the Nets, and then 20 points per game in a season. Again, I feel like the last time we had this one. And then going from the top down, we've got Nuggets, Cavs, Rockets. So, I mean, honestly, this might be a little tough. I mean, the 20 points per game in a season, I feel like we're going to have no problem getting.
Easy peasy.
I want to go Yao Ming for my Rockets.
All right, do it.
He got 20, right? There's no way he didn't.
No, Yao definitely. Yao was an all-star. If he didn't have 20, I would be very
Yeah,
surprised. Yeah.
9% though, that's what I was thinking. I don't think he's very, like I
I mean,
not that he wasn't popular, he's just an older player and, like, might not
yeah.
be in the sauce of people that you think of when Rockets dropping 20 points per game.
No, I mean, the obvious answer there is Harden.
Yeah. But
Tracy
Harden works
McGrady
for
is there.
Nets, Rockets. Harden works for that.
Harden does work for Nets Rockets. So
Does
yeah, that
does
actually probably is a
does
better. That
does
is probably.
Har does KJ McDaniels work for Rockets Nets?
He does work for Rockets Nets. Yeah. No, yeah, 100%. Yeah, you can do KJ McDaniel there. Yeah, for sure.
I love that. I love that. Oh my god, point 1,
0.1%.
dude.
Incredible.
Point 1. Holy moly.
Yeah, I believe
Okay.
that. No, I mean, with the Rocket scores, yeah, I would think. I mean, we said T-Mac, like Harden, T-Mac. I would argue Chris Paul. I think Steve Francis, arguably, you can maybe do over Yao. And Yao's the man. Like Yao was super
Yow's the
popular
dude, yeah.
um, but yeah, you're kind of right. I mean, only 9%. I mean, yeah, the 20-point ones. I mean, for the Nuggets, Jokic is the obvious one. Jamal Murray is the other obvious one.
Carmelo would work for
Carmelo
Nuggets.
definitely should be there. Allen Iverson, low key, could be
Did he
there.
do it with them?
I'm pretty sure he had 20 with the Nuggets. Yeah.
Okay.
He was good for a few years with the Nuggets.
I
It's
bet
everything after that it was
I
where
bet
it was like,
Iverson would
ugh.
be a really low one because I don't think people would remember that he did it with him.
No,
'Cause
I would do Iverson there.
you wanna do Iverson?
I'm pretty sure he did it. If not, we're gonna look like idiots, but I'm
Okay, he did.
okay,
You're
yeah.
good, you're good. I
That's what I
don't know.
figured.
But 7%, see,
No.
like, I think people are very, not like, when I think of him in the Nuggets, I'm already thinking of the decline, so I'm like, "Oh, did he get to 20
Yeah,
a
but the
game?"
decline there wasn't, like, right away. Like, he
Yeah,
was still good when he was traded.
okay.
For the Cavs, 20 point a game, I mean, Donovan Mitchell recently, LeBron, of course, is the other obvious one. Kyrie works,
Did D Wade do it?
not in Cleveland.
You don't think?
No, Justin, he was terrible in Cleveland. What are you talking about? He was, like, at
But
the
you
end of
never
his
know.
career.
Dude, you never know.
No, there's no way. Dwayne Wade averaged probably closer to 5 than 20 in Cleveland.
Let me look it up because and we won't use it if it works, but I wanna see what he had in Cleveland.
I don't think it's more than, like, 8, 9.
Cleveland was 11,
Okay. All right.
11.
That's more than I thought.
Chicago, he was at 18, so he
I
was
believe
close.
that. The first year in Chicago, he was still kinda
Yeah,
good.
yeah, okay.
All right. Other like player wise, box wise. I mean, I know a couple. Like for Spurs, Nuggets, Bruce Brown is the one that comes to mind right away.
Spurs Nuggets. You wanna do it?
Or no, for Nets Nuggets, excuse me.
Oh, Nets Nuggets. You
Yeah,
wanna do
Nets
it?
Nuggets is Bruce Brown for sure. I mean, Bruce just won the title there. We gotta give him some love.
Bruce Brown, there he is.
Yeah.
You know, actually, I think wouldn't, Allen work for Cavs Nets? But that'd probably
Jared
be a
Allen would work for Cavs Nets. Yeah, the two that I was thinking of, Jared Allen works. Andre Drummond also works.
Oh, Drummond might be a low key one that people wouldn't get
I
as
think
much.
Drummond might be rarer, I feel
Yeah,
like,
you wanna go
because
Drummond?
yeah, because he won't work anywhere else on this grid. Yeah,
3%, man.
3%, nice. Yeah,
Wow.
I think he was only in Cleveland for was it only half a season he was in Cleveland?
I can look it up for you. Hold on, I'll tell you in a second.
And then he was with the Nets after he was a part of the Ben Simmons trade.
Yes, he was a part of the Ben Simmons trade. So he was with Cleveland, wow, for 8 games.
Wow, that's great. Wait,
Oh,
really?
wait, no, never mind. 8, 30 where is Cleveland? 33. Yeah, 33
Okay,
games
that's what
total.
I thought. I knew it was only about a half a season, but
Yeah.
all right. So to reset for the listeners, we have the Nets column is completely done. For Nets Nuggets, we have Bruce Brown. For Nets Cavs, Andre Drummond. For Nets Rockets, KJ McDaniels. For 20 points a game per season, we got Allen Iverson. For the Nuggets, we got Yao Ming. For the Rockets, Cavs are still open. We have one. Obviously, we just are,
We're
waiting on who
figuring
that's
out.
going to be.
Yeah.
And some of the other ones, so it's funny. I would for Spurs Rockets, which is kind of hard. I was going to use Chalk Landale because he just signed there, but he
Oh,
doesn't.
yeah.
But he hasn't played yet, and this is
Yeah,
my
does that
crossover
count?
grid where it won't count.
Is that how this works? Yeah? Okay.
For Cavs Spurs, we could go with our guy. I feel like we use him every episode, but it works. We got to go with Danny Green.
I like I should give him 2 ends there. Where is Danny Green? There we go. Danny Green, boom, 54%. Okay.
Wow. Wait, really? That was interesting. I mean, I know
I
it was
think
recent, I
I
guess,
I
but
think people are starting to catch on to like the players that count for
yeah,
everybody. You know what I mean?
Danny Green's been on a lot of teams for sure.
Right.
All right, for Spurs Nuggets and for Spurs Rockets.
Yikes. I'm drawing a blank only because I feel like I never pay attention to Spurs players.
Well, it's like I'm trying to think post the core. It's like I know all the
Yeah.
core Spurs I'm very aware of.
Who
And then it's
um
just like after that. It's like you think of the guys there, but a lot of them have been there for like, you think about like the Keldon Johnsons of the world. LaMarcus Aldridge was never on the Rockets. DeRozan wasn't obviously. Um,
um
and I'm trying to go even older than that. Like I'm trying to think like back in the early like David Robinson days. Like I don't think Robert Ory was ever there, was he?
Robert Ory.
I think
Oof.
was Robert Ory on the
Wait,
Rockets?
wouldn't Didn't we were just talking about T-Mac. Didn't he end up on the Spurs at one point?
He did actually. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. He did end up on the Spurs.
Okay. Do Robert Horry, though, might
I want to. Oh
I
man,
don't know. I don't know. I can't go back that far.
what did Robert Ory play for Denver too?
Mm,
Do Robert Ory. T Mac is going to be rare, but do Robert Ory. I'm pretty positive because I think he was on the Olajuwon teams.
there he was. I saw him, right? There he is. No, right?
Yeah. Robert
Yeah,
Ory.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. The 2008 part threw me off for a second.
He was definitely on the Spurs because he had the buzzer beater in the finals.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
you don't even have a picture.
27.
You don't
What?
even have a picture for my guy.
Yeah, that's kind of
Come
crazy.
on, that's
That's
messed
really
up.
disrespectful. Robert Ory is like the most. It's like him and Bill Russell, the most rings ever. He's got 7 of them
You
things.
even gonna give my guy a sorry.
Robert Ory did play. Okay, Robert Ory played for 4 years in Houston. He played for a year in Phoenix. Then he was with the Lakers. Then he was with the Spurs. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Spurs Nuggets. Oh man, I feel like we say this every episode. Was Rudy Gay ever on the Nuggets?
I don't think he was.
He was definitely on the Spurs.
Yeah.
What about like
Should we just finish it off the Cavs part at least to get this one done so we're down to one?
yeah, do you want to do LeBron or Kyrie? I mean, LeBron's the easy one. I like everybody gets LeBron.
Yeah. You want to go Kyrie?
Yeah, I think Kyrie's good.
Kyrie Irving, bam. 14%. Yeah, good
Not
call,
bad.
man.
Less than I expected.
Yeah, good
I
call
guess
on that.
Kevin. I mean, maybe Kevin Love.
Spurs Nuggets. Oy.
I wonder if Baron Davis ever averaged 20 in Cleveland.
Oh, you want me to look it up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of other guys like that. Spurs Nuggets. Did Kenyon Martin ever play for the Spurs? I know he played for the Nuggets.
Aaron Davis. Davis with Cleveland did not. 13.9.
I'm trying to think of other Nuggets I like. Oh, wait a minute. I think I might was dude. He's a fan or he's an often guy on this grid. It's not Ish, I promise. It's just too much of a I actually think Ish works there, but it's just too much of a cop out. Oh man. I know he played for the Nuggets. And I'm pretty sure he played for the Spurs. Like sure enough to kind of guess on it. And I feel like we'll go 9 for 9. I think Andre Miller works.
Andre Miller. Okay.
Andre
You want to do it?
Miller. And I think it'll be a rarity score that'll be good. He definitely played for the Nuggets. I am 100%.
All
And
right.
Andre Miller was in the league for a long time. And if not, I hope we don't end on a loss. I don't want to do that.
Andre Miller for the win. Yeah. A rarity score of 166. Holy moly.
I got to be honest. I think Ori and I didn't think Robert Ory would be the guy.
14 players for 20 plus points per game worked for Cleveland, which I'm kind of surprised about.
No, I mean that feels right though. I mean, I can think of 3 of them.
Darius Garland, Mitchell, Colin Sexton.
Oh yeah, Sexton. Good call.
LeBron, Kyrie, LeBron, Ricky Davis, Sean Kemp.
Oh, Ricky Davis. Oh man, that would have been
Ron
fun.
Harper.
Yep, Ron Harper's a good one back in the day. Did Craig Elo?
World Be Free.
Oh wow, I would have never got World Be Free.
Yeah. Mike Mitchell, Austin Carr, Lenny Wilkins.
Austin Carr's a good one too.
Austin's 3 times on here.
Yeah, Austin Carr is one of the better players in franchise history.
Yeah, look at that. There you go.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, honestly. Like, and even Denver too. Like Denver being lower on the 20 points per game. Like they haven't really been a super successful franchise until. I mean, Denver obviously a lot more recently.
Yeah, so
especially with some of the heavy hitters. When you got Melo, when you got Jokic, when you got now Jamal Murray, who's good for 20 points a game.
You got it's Jokic, Murray, Melo, Iverson, Alex English, which is going back to the 86, 87-ish years. Actually, he's in there a few times. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, they have a huge drop off after Iverson in 2007, no, Melo in 2003, 2004 is when it kind of slows up for a second there.
Yeah, I mean, you think about that. I mean, they had that run in the '90s, but
Yeah.
yeah, realistically, I mean, it's I mean, Alex English is the other one that I go way back
Yeah.
to. It's like
And
Alex
then you got
English
like
was great for
and,
them for
and
a
then you got like
while.
Orlando Woolridge, which is well, apparently the hardest thing for me to say. Yeah, man. Craziness.
Well, thank you everybody for listening to this episode of the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. I mean, yeah, after entertaining all the craziness in the NBA this week, it was good though. Like I was excited. I told Justin last week or a little bit before this episode started that, last week there just wasn't a lot to talk about. Like I was getting ready. We were almost borderline starting to shift into preview mode a little bit.
Yeah.
And because training camps and media days are getting ready to start up, so and we will shift gears into that a little bit, but yeah, it was kind of nice to have the Damian Lillard saga wrapped up here. I think we could see Drew Holiday again moved by the time we record next week. For a little bit of housekeeping next week, Justin will be out next episode, so you are stuck with me. I don't know who will be guest hosting with me yet. I haven't got that far, but stay tuned for that, and we will see what happens. But in the meantime, yeah, thank you everybody for listening to this episode of Drive and Dish NBA podcast. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad, or read them on the show. Anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
And subscribe to us on YouTube. You can get a notification when we are dropping a new episode. Plus, you can watch a video version of the podcast as we get the immaculate grids put together.